I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, doing no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad,
Yeah.
baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast.
What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to Left Hook Fishing. Today, well, the past couple weeks, the weather has been less than prime for snake hunting and fishing. So I think today what we're gonna do is just a simple DIY mod for your truck, and that is these PVC fishing pole holders. As you can see, these ones they've seen their better days. I had that one broken off by a bag of cement, or maybe it was that one, I can't remember. I don't remember what happened with that one, and I hit this one with a shovel. But these have been in here for 4 years, and I mean, for what they are, they hold up really well, and especially for no more than what they cost. I think I had like 15 bucks in these. This time around cost me a little bit more money because I didn't have the thin-walled PVC like I wanted, like with what these are made out of. So it's a little bit thicker, so I had to fork out a bit more cheddar. But I'm going to show you how to make them and show you how they're installed, and this should work in pretty much any application. I mean, it just all depends if you want to drill holes in your truck bed, which, I mean, even if you're buying like the stainless steel like setup, like the stainless steel version of these, you're still drilling holes to mount them in your truck. So and the cool thing about these is that they're not this big like setup. Like I've seen the stainless steel ones that use up the whole front end of the bed. And if you're like me, where we actually use our trucks for things, you don't want this giant apparatus, especially in the bed of the old taco. I mean, we're striving for bed space as it is, so everything that you can build to help you, you know, to be able to utilize the bed space that you do have, anything that you can do, we're going to do. So the cool thing about them is they, this is typically because the kayak will come in here, obviously, and then there's enough room for 6 poles. And then when you don't want to use them, or if you have to use your bed for something, you can either quickly just remove the 4 screws on the mounts here, or what I always do is just fold them up flat up against the front of the bed, so they're out of the way. So let's get to it. And they don't take long at all. Like, I only have like an hour and a half of sunlight left, so, and we should be able to get them done, you know, well within that time frame. So let's get the old ones out, and then we'll get into building the new ones. I mean, we had to have a little fun, right? Alright guys, so what you're gonna need to build these bad boys is 6 1/2 45s and just a long section of, I don't know what this is, like 8 feet, 10 feet of 1.5 PVC pipe. Like I said before, I wanted the thin wall stuff just mainly because it's easier to cut the reel seat notches where the actual neck of the reel sits, so you don't have to worry about losing poles or whatever going down the road. But the thicker stuff does work. It's just a little bit more difficult to work with. So the 45s, the pipe, and then 4 of the hangers for the 1.5 inch PVC. These come in a pack of like 12, so you have to buy 12 of them. But the good news is they're not expensive. And then obviously hardware. Talking in terms of hardware, I used galvanized this first time. They're just a coarse thread. I don't know what they are, like an inch Phillips head screw. And 2 of them, or like half of them, held up really well. And then the other ones, I mean, they're not like rusted beyond all belief. I mean, for 4 years, it's not bad. That's just the head on the other half of them are rusted it up pretty good. So this time I did not buy any stainless ones, but I think I'm going to swap those out for stainless eventually. So, all right. Step 1 is you want to mate these 45s together like this. And keep in mind too, you can also make these 90s if it makes you feel better, so your poles go straight back and not kind of sticking up over the cab. I know some people that have a issue with that, with leaving the poles like, because they do protrude above the cab quite a ways. But I've never had a problem with it. I go burning up 75 all the way to Tampa and all the way down to 10,000 Islands, and I've never had an issue with a rod breaking or something like that. But you can make them out of 90s. And the cool thing about them too is you can configure them any way you want. Like this build is specifically around a Tacoma bed, but if it's a F-Series or a Chevy, whatever it is, you can build these to match the bed or fit the bed perfectly. But all I'm going to do is cut this recess in here is 3/4 of an inch deep, so we'll need an 1.5 inch piece of PVC cut to mate these together, and I'm going to need 4 of them. So let's get those cut up real quick and move on to assembly. Alright guys, now that we got those cut, it's pretty simple. We're just going to put one of the chunks, one of the pieces that we cut in, install the next one, install the next one. And like I said, if you are building these for a different truck other than a Tacoma, you're probably going to have to double check the lengths for these connector pipes to have them fit your bed. And like, I mean, even if the truck bed is taller, like if you're in like a full-size truck, you could probably even add a 4th 45 on there for a 4th spot for a pole. But like I said, this is for a taco, so this is where we're stuck at. So once you have those all assembled, what you would just do is line up these mold lines here with one another. And I don't glue these ones because they're not under a lot of stress, if any. So you should have something that looks like that. And once they're being held to the truck bed, there's really no stress on these whatsoever. So I've never even glued any of them that I've made. So, and I've never had an issue with them coming apart either. All right, so we got these puppy dogs assembled, and I forgot I had to do this on the taco. I had to cut off one of the, like, almost all of the flange down here in order for it to fit underneath my tie down system that I have on the bed. So other than that, now all we do is cut the sections that hold the rod. And on my old ones, I did those at 12 inches, and they work very well, even for my bigger rods, like my 8000s and stuff like that have the real long butts on them. They don't ride in the same, like, reel seat saddle is what I call it. They don't ride in that, they just kind of sit in there, which is fine. But they work well for most applications, unless you have some crazy rod with like a 2-foot butt or something like that. I think the 8000 is like 16 inches or something like that, but it sits in there just fine. So let's cut those and get those installed. And just like that, they're all done. Now, you don't have to have a miter saw to do this, obviously. I mean, it's PVC. You can pretty much cut it with hot dental floss. You can, I mean, very easily do it with like your normal handsaw. Probably even a coping saw would get it done. I know it would. So, very simple to make, very quick to make. Let's get to the fun part now of, and probably the most consuming, like time consuming part, is cutting in the notches. Because like I don't have a Dremel anymore. My Dremel burnt up and died, unfortunately. And I looked at them at Lowe's the other day, and they went like 90 bucks for like the most basic one that you can get your hands on. So I still have the side cut bit from like in my Dremel kit. So I'm just going to draw the saddles, and then I'm just going to use that side cut bit in just a normal drill, and we'll get them done that way. It'll be a little bit slower, but they'll still get the job done. And now to make the drawings for the saddle, all I do, this is just a cheap Chinese reel. All I do is kind of just lay it on there, and this is just to get the width of the entrances for the saddles. All we did is make 2 little black marks there, and that's going to be our footprint, and I'll show you here exactly what it's going to be. And you can get as pretty with this as you want, or not as pretty. I mean, they're just, at the end of the day, they're just rod holders. And this is kind of what we're looking for, is the reel seat, and you'll see it too after we get it done. Reels, you're going to slide your reel neck in here, and then it's going to fall into this little chamber there, and it won't let your rod fly out while you're going down the highway. Now this is the side cut bit that I was talking about. You can get these little side cut bits anywhere that they sell Dremels, which would be Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, any place that sells Dremel or those little rotary tools like it. These little bits are so versatile, and it makes working on stuff like this, I mean, like, forget about it. Just gonna come back to your nearest corner. I have these, obviously have it just mounted in my this little wood vise here that's already built into the miter saw, but you can use your vise, you can use your workbench with a C-clamp, I mean anything to hold it. So all I'm going to do is punch a hole here in this corner, and then just drag the bit back to me all the way out to the end. Check it out. Just like that. So we got 6 of these to do. It's gonna take a minute, so I'm gonna do those 6. I'm gonna come back at you and we'll start assembling it, and I'll kind of show you the different ways that you can mount them. I'm gonna do a little bit of a different configuration this time, just because I spent 4 years with the other ones, and I know it kind of annoys me. So I'll get these 6 done. I'll come right back at you, and then we will get to installing them in the truck. Alright guys, we got those 6 done, and this is what we're looking for here. It's just a channel for the reel, to fall into and then fall into place and lock into place. And that's all those are for. So if you're building them for each side of the bed like I have them, you're going to want to cut 3 with the notch going this way and then 3 mirroring it, because if you don't, then the notches obviously on the right side of the truck will be pointed up, which do you absolutely no good, and then you only have the one side where they fall down into the notches. So I'm going to go up to the front of the truck to the rest of the assembly, and I'm going to show you how I position them so that way your reels clear each other, they're not resting on each other when they're in transit. And pretty much so after that, just have to run some screws in the bed and they're mounted. So let's go to the front of the truck. All right, y'all, I know this is kind of a bad angle, but this is kind of what I do. I have this one facing up a little bit more than the middle one. The middle one is straight out, and then I have the bottom one kind of pointed down. So when this gets mounted to the bed, actually use a real fishing pole this time. This will go in. I don't know if you can see that. I'll tip you forward a little bit, and it sits down into that little pocket that we cut out. And then, like I said, for the next one, I'm like backed up right to my garage, so it's hitting the eave. So this next one will sit in there like so, and then the next one will actually be sitting up a little bit higher, so that way the reels clear each other. Like I said, they're not resting on each other. So that's it. Let's get these screws sent into the bed, get this puppy mounted, and we're done. Still have about 20 minutes of daylight left. Alright guys, after you get these assembled and get them installed, like this one here, depending on what type of fishing rods you use the most, I use spinning rods all the time. You can play with this, especially even with the notches. You can play with the design of those, you can play with the position of those, and then you can basically dry fit it together and put your rods and stuff in there and see how they sit. And once you're happy with it, I mean, you could use PVC glue. I just go with super glue because it's so fast, and it's, I mean, you're not stopping water here. So let me show you the final setup here and how it looks, and we'll wrap this puppy up. You see them all? Just like so. That is an easy way to transport your rods, and it keeps the rods out of the cab of the truck, which again, if you're a full size guy, it doesn't really affect you that much, because you can get some fishing poles and stuff inside your cab relatively easy. For the compact guys, this gets the rods out of the truck. It saves your headliner, and it saves you a bunch of cab space. I mean, I can still get them in there, but if I have somebody riding with me, I mean, there's no way. And I'm not laying my babies on the bed of the truck. So, and that is really all there is to it. And like I said, it doesn't take long. With messing around with filming and all that stuff, it took me like an hour and 15 minutes. And going back to format, you can format these things any way you want. You can bring them up higher and do 90s straight out the back. You can, I mean, if you don't have this bed rail system like my truck has, these will even double as like a flagpole holder if you're the type of dude that likes to run around with flags on the back of your truck. They're just very versatile. So they're a good idea, they're a cheap idea, and they make transporting your rods a breeze. So that about wraps it up. And as always, guys, if it entertains you even a little bit, go ahead and smack that like button and the subscribe button. And stay tuned, because like throughout the life of the channel, I'm going to try to grow the channel relatively, I don't know what you would call it, like organically. So stay tuned. I'm going to be doing giveaways and stuff on like my custom rods that I build. I'll be doing giveaways on those. I'll be doing giveaways on fishing reels and stuff like that. So if you want to be eligible, I don't know the milestones yet, to be honest with you. You just have to see how fast the channel starts growing. But you always just want to be subscribed, because I know those giveaways are subscriber based. So thanks for checking out the video. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you in the next one.